One of the ways I put myself through medical school and college was to do tune-ups on my Volkswagen. Okay, my brother, a theoretical physicist, taught me how to do that. Right, you get under the car and you put the little measure, and then all the stuff's falling in your face, and you get the car to work better. Measuring the valves was a very hard piece. Then I graduated. I got an '82 Land Cruiser. It's the one I drove Hillary around in. She thought it was a Land Rover. There's about a $30,000 price difference there. And I put a slave cylinder in that, an alternator, because you see, cars are very easy. You just open the shop manual and you put the stuff in before computers. So as a physician, I don't get to do that anymore. And when a CEO of one of my clients, a large healthcare organization, said, I'd like to introduce you to the CEO of, do you want to put the slide on? The CEO of a Brumos Motor Cars, and I have their permission to say this, in Jacksonville. I said, well, that's not really my industry, but I'll give them a few hours and I'll refer them to another coach. Well, I interviewed all these guys. I love these guys. I love these guys. I got to sit in a $1.2 million Porsche. It's called a Spider, a 928. I got to meet a race car driver named Hurley Haywood. Who knew? I didn't know this stuff. I got to, the best car was the $1.2 million 1930-something Cord, which is in the private museum in the back. No pictures allowed. This is the same museum that Jay Leno goes to when he comes to town. So I am sort of in hog heaven here, looking at cars. And you know, when I was going to school, my fingernails were usually dirtier than those of the guys I went out with, because I was busy working on cars. Now I get manicures instead. So I came into work with Brumos, and I still see them every month or two, and I'm working with the entire executive team, and we're working down through the organization. By the way, the CEO of this organization is one of the top 3 CEOs I've ever worked with. Why? 2 things. When I interviewed people, number 1, they said, he's fair. I may not agree with what he does, but he's always fair. Number 2, he keeps his word. When he says he's going to do something, you can take it to the bank. I get to work with these guys. So we're going on rounds. Now, rounds in hospitals are a little different. They're usually led by the attending physician, who's wearing a long white coat, name and a million different letters embroidered after it going down the arm. And he's sure to go like this, because that way you can see them all. And usually he, not always. And following him in his wake are these just lots and lots of baby doctors and not so baby doctors. And there's this art, it's called pimping. It's not the pimping you're thinking about, okay? It's where the attending asks questions of the lesser doctors, the docettes, until the docette is a quivering mass of jelly, because they finally hit a place where the docket doesn't know the answer. So I'm going on rounds. I'm going what are called vendor rounds. Now, vendor rounds are where they go through the cars that have been traded in to decide what to do with them. There were 4 cars lined up. The attending was the general manager, and under him was a team of managers. 4 cars. The first 2 passed muster. They're going to be sold. Then there's 2 other cars there that are going to auction. Don't ever buy a car at auction. Ever. One is an Oldsmobile with 300,000 miles on it, no question. But the second one is a black Chevy SUV of some model I don't remember. And there were 2 men on this rounding team. One was a tall, slender man of indeterminate race with a suit that fit him like a glove. Looked like it was custom made for him, and probably was. Tie, lavender shirt, very elegant. The second was a guy whose sleeves were rolled up, and they had both worked at Chevy, at General Motors. This is in a Mercedes lot. And they said, that car is an L something something. It was only made between the years of blah, blah, to blah, blah. And by the way, they only made this many of them. And it has a Corvette engine. Does anybody here know what this car is? We can sell this car because it's a collector's item. Now, I'm doing this because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if this were rounds. This is not, you know, there are 3 rules when you're rounding in a hospital. Number 1, keep your mouth shut. Number 2, don't make excuses. And number 3, never, never argue with an attending. That is a career limiting step. So here these 2 guys are, and they've just questioned the general manager. So I'm a little nervous. General manager says, great car, we're going to keep it. Thanks for your help. I didn't know that. So what can healthcare learn from the car industry? Well, there's many things. But one of them is about communications and accepting people who may know more than you. By the way, in my work, much of what I do is teaching people how to talk to other people and be honest and open. Well, I can't say that to that person. Oh, what would happen if you did? Patients die because of the handoffs, because people don't talk to each other. The Institute of Medicine said, I don't know, 100,000 patients may die in the 90s. I just read an article recently that says, well, the number's up to 400,000 a year. I've had personal experience with that. And so what I say to you, what can healthcare learn from the car industry? There's a lot. Thanks.